Hi, and welcome to Debbie's Rusty Brush. I'm Deborah Straight, and I'm the owner and artist here. On this channel, I do furniture flips, thrift item flips, thrift hauls, thrifting videos, canvas art. Pretty much, if I can put paint on it, that's what I do. If you like these type of videos, please subscribe. Today, we're going to work on this 1960s chest of drawers. And first of all, what we're going to do is we are going to give it a quick sand and then a clean. Now, I didn't film the sanding part, but we're going to give that a quick clean. And I did fill the drawer pulls on the top because one of those was broken, so I do need to replace those. I did not do the bottom two drawers because they were fine. Now I'm putting a coat of slick stick on. Even though I scuff sanded this, it was still pretty shiny, kind of a laminate finish, and so I wanted to make sure that my paint had a really good surface to stick to. So this is Dixie Belle's slick stick, and I am just going through and putting it on with a roller, and this will get 2 coats of slick stick on all of its slick surfaces. I do like these foam rollers. They make for quick work, and I'm not set up to spray, so these foam rollers really help make a nice, soft, smooth surface without having the ability to spray. Now I'm going through with Dixie Belle's Caviar, and I am just using that foam roller once again so that I get a nice brush-free surface. And I'm just going to go through and I will put 3 coats of this Dixie Belle Caviar all over our primed and ready surfaces. A lot of times I will leave the drawers in as I paint, but in this particular case, the drawers come out over the frame of the body of the dresser itself, and I don't want the drawers to stick to the framework when I do this. And because I am going with a basic black coat, I am choosing to do it with the drawers out. Now, I did go through and sand a couple of areas there where my slick stick got away from me, and I had a couple of runs, so I just wanted to get that taken care of and out of there. And I'm just going to continue on with the black here. Now that the black is all done, I'm going in with a clear coat, and what I'm doing is I'm taking Dixie Belle Flat clear coat, and I'm adding in just a little bit of our black Caviar paint. And I am brushing this on, but by putting the black into the clear, you get a much better clear coat on this. I will put 3 coats of clear coat on, and all 3 of those will be mixed with the black. And that just helps to eliminate any fogginess that a clear coat could add. And I will do a real light scuff sand just by hand in between each one of these coats. All right, now that that is dry, we're going to start adding our transfer. And I'm just putting the transfer on the front of this piece in certain areas. Okay, so this transfer is by Redesign by Prima, and it is called Midnight Floral. It is a beautiful print, and you can deconstruct it and put it together in any configuration that you want to, which is what you see me doing here, is deciding where I want things and how I want them, and then I'm cutting out those areas so that I can put them on. Now, to put on a transfer, once you've got it down, leave it. Do not pull up. You'll want to take the stick that comes with it and you want to rub, and you will see it lighten up in areas. And as you pull, if any of it comes up with the backing, set it back down and rub some more. And you can tell when it has adhered to the piece. And then in the end, you'll want to burnish it down. Now, this particular transfer, although it's gorgeous and I loved it, it is a little harder to work with because the areas where the flowers are just gold, that is just an outline of gold. So that was a little tough to get it to adhere to the piece on those areas. It wasn't impossible, but it did make for a little bit slower and harder going with this one. And so we just continue to figure out where we want pieces and just to put them on. Now what I'm going for here is kind of a slanted look down these bottom two drawers so that it is fuller in the center and it tapers off on each side as you go to the top to the bottom. And so a couple of the things that I'm struggling with here is this bottom drawer, which looks like 2 is actually 1, and there is a line in between, and so I need to get down into those. You also may have noticed that I took scissors and cut between the drawers that actually open, and that way I can wrap that transfer that I've cut under and over the 2 drawers. And so I'm just making sure that that center section is full. Okay, now we're at the top, and I want to just kind of do a U shape around the top here. So I am once again cutting apart the remaining of the transfer and just making it into kind of a U shape here. As you can tell, I'm lifting as we go there. I'm cutting between the drawers so that we can get that all pushed down and burnishing. Then we're going to move over here to the other side and get that all put down there. And as you can tell, as I'm lifting, if I need to, I can put that back down and make sure that it has adhered to the surface of the dresser. And here I'm struggling just a bit with that gold part, but we get that done and get that all burnished down and around those edges. And now I just need to figure out how and what I'm going to do to attach this U together and the shape that I'm going for. I'm not necessarily going for a uniform shape, and I am just using up the last of the transfer. So this transfer, I used one complete transfer on this chest of drawers, and I just cut it apart to be used in a configuration that was pleasing to me. And that's the great thing about these transfers. You can mix and match them. You can layer them over themselves or each other to get something completely different than somebody else that may use the same transfer. So here again, we are just getting this in this. Like I said, these gold areas were a little bit tougher because it is just the line of gold. The flowers have a larger surface, so they go on much faster. And so I'm just using up the last of the little pieces that I had left over. And here I'm just matching up some areas that will finish off that little gold flower there. And then we'll use the last couple little pieces to get this all settled in here. Now, as you can tell, right there is a leaf, and it is not complete. And so here in a second, I will add a flower over that area that will make it look as though that leaf is complete, because that flower will lay over. And so that is what I'm talking about when I say that you can mix and match and lay over. Now here, this is the larger of the drawers, and so I am just taking and putting a harlequin pattern decoupage paper, it's a tissue paper, on the bottom half of that drawer. And as you can see, there's a line there where it makes it look as though it's separate drawers. There's drawer pulls on each section, so even the big drawer here will have 4 drawer pulls or the knobs on it, and so they make it look like separate drawers even though it's one. And so I'm just taking that a step further and giving the bottom half of this big drawer its own treatment. I felt that the space between the bottom flowers and the top flowers needed something special in there. I'm taking this piece and going for over-the-top romance, and I am naming the piece Pure Romance, and we will do some further embellishment after we get this decoupage paper on. I'm having to line up this harlequin pattern the best that I can. It ends up turning out really good. I do have a few wrinkles in there, which I don't mind at all. To have those in there, it just makes it look real authentic, but everything is stuck down really, really well. And I do love the way this turned out. Now, you may have noticed that I started this process on my stool, and I ended up sitting on the ground. What was edited out was that my stool bucked me off. And so I edited that part out, but I did do this part live on my Facebook channel. So on that one, there was no editing out my stool bucking me off. Thankfully, nobody was hurt in the process of me falling off. Now I'm back on my stool, as this has had the time to dry, and I am just taking sandpaper to trim off the excess on the sides and the bottom. That's the best way to get a nice clean cut. You do need to wait for the clear coat to dry so that you don't rip at all. Okay, so now I am just taking an IOD mold, and it is a moldings mold, and I'm going through with paper clay, and I'm just making a mold to go along the top of that harlequin pattern, which will fill over that the slit that is in that large drawer to make it look like it is a separate drawer. I'm going to put this over there. The harlequin paper didn't quite do as straight a line as I would have liked, and I felt that this would give it a nice extra romantic detail. So we're gonna get enough to go across that entire drawer, and then we will show you how we put it on there. Okay, so as you can tell, I'm just pressing this paper clay into the mold. There's a micro rim on here, and so I'm just making sure that this is nice and smooth on the back so it lays flat when we go to put it on the dresser. And I'm just going to make enough to go all the way around that dresser, or across that drawer. Now, this will be wet when we put it on, so we're going to be very careful with it because we don't want to impact any of the impressions in this. Now I'm just taking wood glue. This is Titebond 2. I'm painting it on the back of our clay mold, and I'm very lightly pressing it onto our drawer, and then I'm taping it in place because this is a vertical surface and it will slide down the drawer if we don't have a way to keep it in place. Now I'm just taking my black Caviar and I'm going to paint this piece of molding so that it integrates into the rest of our dresser, and then we'll do something very special to help it stand out and be a little bit more romance on the piece. Okay, so now I'm taking Dixie Belle's Gemstone Mousse in gold, and I'm just rubbing it with my finger over the top of this molding. I just want to catch the high points on this molding. I want the black to be down in the ridges and the gold to just float over the top. I want this molding to stand out. It is gorgeous and it needs to have its own moment. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put some stripes up here in this U shape. I'm going to use Gemstone Mousse again. This will be in garnet. And I am just measuring out my stripes by using the tape itself as my divider. Then I'm going to go ahead with my finger and put my Gemstone Mousse on. As you can tell, it will be in different heights depending upon the flowers that are around it. I am going around those flowers. I do not want to cover them up at all. I did decide that I needed one more stripe on each side, and so I'm taping that off, going around those flowers. Now I'm taking Gemstone Mousse and going around those gold areas that I had a problem putting on. It makes them stand out much better, and I really liked the way that turned out. Now I'm just going through and I am clear coating where my transfer went on and where my Gemstone Mousse went on. Now my Gemstone Mousse has sat and cured for quite a long time, but you do want to clear coat it just to make sure that it's not going anywhere. Now the reason I'm using a small brush and just doing the transfer itself and the Gemstone Mousse lines is because I don't want to go over the area that we already coated with the clear coat that had the black in it, because I don't want any haze where we don't need to have haze. And so I'm just going through and doing the areas that need the clear coat. Okay, and so then here are the knobs. Now the pulls on the bottom are original, the tops are different. I did paint them to match, and then I am just drilling new holes for the top and putting those in. Okay, so we're getting all of the knobs on and the handles on, and this is what she looks like. I don't have staged pictures yet, but I wanted to get this video up. Thanks for watching.